Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. He was the #1 U.S. stock market timer in the January 2020 edition of Timer Digest. He was also their third top gold timer over the last 12 months. He's speaking to us from Arizona. Welcome back to the show, Mark.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Exciting couple trading days.
Mark, do you still have that special offer for our listeners?
Sure do. We created it especially for you guys. It's at VRTrader.com, and it's a 50% discount for any of our newsletters. It's a promo code called 2020 half off or 2021 half off. And you go to VRTrader.com, and when you go to the order page, you enter the promo code in the box provided, and you get 50% off of any of the products.
Mark, on the markets, we've seen a little bit of insanity the last couple of days over a little-known place called GameStop, which I'm told by Mike Swanson, one of our correspondents, is kind of like Blockbuster. The stores are empty. It's on the brink of bankruptcy, yet it goes from about $1 or $2 a share to $600 in the space of 2 days. What the hell's going on there?
Well, it was a short squeeze, apparently, from what I understand. It was down 150 points in regular trading today, Thursday, but in the aftermarket, it's up 100 as I'm watching the screen as we're talking. A lot of apparently, and I'm not an expert at who all the players are, but apparently there was some type of short squeeze, and there are groups out there. I don't know if the Robinhood group is probably not the best example, but this Reddit group, the Wall Street Bets group, they have a blog which I've been trying to get caught up on and read about in the last 24 hours. And they're out there, complaining about how the big boys run the show and the small players are at a big disadvantage, and we're about to get them. It's really interesting. I mean, there's so much to talk about. I mean, hedge funds have done very poorly this past year. In fact, my experience with hedge funds over the decades, except for a couple, standouts, for the most part, investors in hedge funds don't do well. Though the promoters claim they're going to be beating the market and they take a percentage of their profits and so forth. Many have gone by the wayside. But apparently, a lot of these guys are out there, with their sophisticated strategies, and they'll find a stock like a GameStop, which they think because it's not earning money and the stores are empty, as you say, and whether this is all true or not, I don't go to GameStop, but I know I've seen their operations, get short the stock. And I guess they're hoping it goes to zero. So if buying comes in and starts triggering buy stops and starts moving the stuff higher, it could force them to cover their position, and then it becomes pure pyramiding effect, domino effect, and you can drive stocks to astronomical levels. I mean, even in the cannabis group, it was a couple years ago, Tilray in Canada. If you remember that story, I mean, the stock was a nothing burger, and suddenly I think it went to $250 or $350 one day on a short squeeze because there are very few shares out there, and then the stock collapsed and went to a couple bucks a share, and now it's starting to come back again. So we've seen this type of thing before, where apparently there's the short squeezes out there, and somebody starts them somehow, and it pyramids on itself, and whether it's a Reddit group or others like them, that have a concerted effort to do it, or it's just a bunch of guys that start the momentum and they hope that others follow them. I don't know. I don't have all the details, but it definitely shows there's this major shifts taking place in the market right now. With this Wall Street Bets and with what's going on with Bitcoin and Tether and what's going on with the Federal Reserve, and there's a lot of, cross currents here. And you talk about yesterday, Wednesday being a big day. It was actually a full moon if you happen to look above, and I was writing about that the day before, about lunatics and lunacy out there on the full moon, and sometimes key market shifts occur around the lunar cycles, and I've talked about this. So when I saw that big drop in the market yesterday, I said, well, it's the moon that did it. Forget the traders, So bottom line, there's a lot of hedge funds are going out of business, and it's going to force them to liquidate their positions, and this may be a bigger market negative going forward, particularly if we see more of these type of GameStop issues. And there's talk about the SEC checking into it and everything. Well, that's not going to make any difference. I mean, the SEC checks into stuff all the time, but yet this stuff continues to go on. And in truth, if it's the big boys that are in there and are losing the money, they're the ones that are looking for the justice, and they got the big high-priced attorneys and they got the money, so maybe ultimately they'll prevail in trying to get the small guy out of it. It seems to be like a democratization of the trading situation when you see smaller players starting a momentum and seeing the kind of moves, Jim, that we saw the last couple of days. And I got to tell you, it was also very upsetting just watching the trading action last couple of days, watching the brokers themselves, halting trading in some stocks that you would want to trade into. A lot of these brokers are obviously concerned about their own rear ends, their own capital, what risks they have when stocks like this explode. Are they going to get caught in some way? And, investors out there have to be thinking about the broker that they're actually using. I mean, is Ameritrade or Schwab or all these people solvent enough if enough of these type of events occur, and where is your money really safe? I mean, there's a risk in actually the brokerage firms on a certain level beyond the hedge fund. So this thing can sort of pyramid all over the place if it gets out of hand. And the other side of the coin is that maybe this is a one-up event. It just happened, and it'll sort of blow over, and you won't see anything like this for a while. But it does happen apparently over and over again over the years, and I guess you got to hope you're long the GameStops of the world at the right moment, or the Tilrays at the right moment before they go up several hundred points, and you can capitalize on what was before a bad investment suddenly becomes a big winner for you.
Should a hedge fund that gets involved in something that looks shady be bailed out if they get into trouble?
Absolutely not. I don't believe that at all. I mean, we're all at risk. If you and I invest in a stock and we lose money, Does somebody bail us out? I mean, this is, this goes to, I guess, how much power you have, how much money you have, what influence you have. And if you do, I guess you get the government to bail you out where the small guy suffers. But you're asking me, general question. These guys took their risks. They made their bets. They were wrong. And they can blame anybody they want that caused it. But whatever it was, they took the risk on the short side. And they knew when they took a long short side risk, they had infinite risk. If they were smart enough, they would have hedged their position. You would think they would have long call options or something against their short positions to try to hedge their bets, and many do. And I don't know if the guys that lost big in these were hedged or not. Apparently, they may not have been. It's you place your bets, Jim, and Wall Street is just Vegas on a different scale.
Does this kind of action tell us that the stock market is near its top and things are getting super risky? I mean, there's also that investment fund where you don't even know what you're investing in.
I don't know which one that is, but I guess the average person who's invested in some mutual fund or ETFs doesn't really know what he's invested in either. But you answer your question, the answer is yes. The market is way overdone and frothy, and there are a lot of uncertainties out there. But, just like we saw back in March of this year, we get a 10,000-point correction in the market, and then suddenly 6 months later it's back up again as money printing takes effect and the plunge protection team gets involved, whether it's the Treasury or the Federal Reserve involved in that. The market always seems to recover. So if you're a long-termer and you're young and you're looking out decades, dollar cost averaging and putting money in the market is the way to go. If you're more shorter term, or if you're older like myself, you don't have 20, 30, 40 years ahead of you, then you got to be more concerned about the near term. My own gut feeling is this year or next year are not going to be such great years in the market, as we saw. There are going to be nice swings and trading opportunities, as we see every day, which is really what I try to take advantage of. But I think it is definitely a sign of problems ahead.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit when we return.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlin, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Value from success, growth in discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, what's your position on gold and silver right now?
Very, very nervous long, and I've been sort of pounding the table on this. I mean, gold bugs everywhere for months. And, I in my newsletter, my Metal Resource letter, I reprinted the work of an old, unfortunately deceased friend of mine, Terry Laundrie, last year. And we'll see if it all pans out. It's just one man's opinion. But Terry, I knew for decades, and he created back in the 1970s a technical tool which is virtually unknown everywhere. I thought it was more widely known, but I always respected his work. It was called a magic T. T as in Tom. And basically it was based on, cycles in the market. And so it basically came down to the theory that if something goes up in time, X amount of time, it'll come down in that amount of time. And he did tremendous amount of work. He was an engineer, and he had, very, very strong mathematical background and skills, and I respected his work over the years. So back in 2000, I was actually visiting with him in Nantucket, which is where he lived. And he said that his cycles indicate that there's a 20-year cycle in gold, and it will end in 2020. Now, this is 2000. So, of course, we saw a lot happen. We saw, a big run-up into 2011, and then we saw a correction, and then another big run-up right into 2020. And I put this in my letter this past year. I said, how do you know we have not seen the high? We're talking about, a 20-year type pattern or 10-year, however you want to divide the cycle up. And so far, that's been correct. And I said I put it out in my letter, and people, sort of ignored it. And they're giving me all the reasons why gold's going to 3,000 and 5,000, and how there's going to be a reset in the world economy, and suddenly gold's going to be pegged at 10,000 an ounce, and we're all going to get rich, and on and on and on. And, I'm a trader, and I sort of follow the stuff. And then, so far, that has worked. And it could be, it sounds like irrational, based on all the fundamental reasons that we think otherwise, that gold may be done. Period. Over. Kaput. And we have seen the high, and the run that we saw last year near, was it 2060, 2070 in U.S. dollars, was the end of the 20-year cycle. And we may, as gold, if you're gold bugs, may have to run through another long period of suffering, as you did many times over the past several decades. That doesn't mean it won't come back, and there won't be another 20-year cycle, and by 2040, maybe if Terry was alive and I could ask him the question, does that mean we're going to be in a new high 20 years from now, or is there going to be an intermediate high in the middle of that cycle? So anyway, since then, market has come down. We have all kinds of stories have come up. Warren Buffett was buying Barrick, and because Warren Buffett was buying Barrick, the guru of gurus obviously knows something about gold that we don't, so we have to be in gold stocks and Barrick. So, everybody's followed that one. We don't know if he's still in it or not. He might have sold his position as far as we know, but we'll give him credit that he's still there. Then the U.S. dollar's been coming down and down and down, and weak, but I don't see gold going up and up and up. And the last, couple, 3 months, there's been those sort of signs that the dollar might be bottoming. It hasn't really bottomed. It starts these little technical rallies and fails, but should it take off, and should that inverse relationship kick in, gold's really in trouble. In fact, I write in my letter, if the 1750 low that we saw, I think, back in the fourth quarter, that was coming off that 2060 high, it comes out, the next downside would be about 1500. So we'll see if all this happens, and obviously, if we take off again, traders will try to take advantage of it, and I'm giving you a long-winded response. There's also the bullish comment that you've got the Chinese New Year coming up here in a few days, and gold should be strong into the Chinese New Year, which apparently the guys that follow this claim is the case every year. I can't verify that. So we'll see if it rallies here into the Chinese New Year, and we'll see if there's a beginning of a move here or not. So short-term trading, it looked like it tried to make a trading bottom here the last day or so. So we're monitoring it. And despite my, there's my dog, he agrees with me. Anyway, despite my caution, we are trading, and it looks like maybe we'll get a little bounce here, but that's my answer to gold. Be careful, and we're going to continue to trade it, and we'll see if we get a rally into the Chinese New Year and beyond, but overall, I'm sort of cautious.
The Chinese New Year is February 12th, welcoming the Year of the Ox. We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, any areas that we should be paying special attention to right now?
Well, as I mentioned a moment ago, I'm just focusing on the U.S. dollar. I think that's going to have a lot to do with, we're going to see, in terms of commodities and gold going forward. I'm also keeping an eye on interest rates. There was an uptick. It started, and I don't know if it's going to resume or not, but my gut feeling is it might. So that has, its consequences, both for traders and investors, particularly if a low-interest environment changes, so that's one thing that I'm keeping a close eye on, and the day-to-day the news out there with regard to the COVID and the vaccines and the fact that there's new variations of this virus appearing all over the world, and whether it's intentionally being created, which I'm a bit of a conspiracy person in that sense. I don't think it was any accident. People could say, gee, it's just nature doing all these things. Suddenly all these other strains appear, and then suddenly the vaccine may not be applicable, and we have to get different or newer vaccines. I mean, this thing can go on for months or years, maybe years, and never end, and you wonder what's behind all this. So, what if, the shutdowns continue or expand again, which is hard to believe, and things get more serious? That's going to be a tremendous impact on the markets, and you're going to have to figure out what stocks to buy. I guess if everything shuts down again, you want to own Zoom and names that benefit from people who are just being sequestered in their homes again, or benefit from those companies like Amazon that deliver all the products that you don't want to go out and buy. So I mean, we're just trying to keep an eye on what's going on. Of course, then you got conflict potential out there. Okay, we got the alleged President Biden in the office, and I say alleged because I'm not a supporter of the election. But what are the consequences for his ineptitude, which I'm sure is going to be seen ahead? His inexperience. We're going to get into an Iranian conflict, or is he going to pacify the Iranians the way Obama did? Is he going to pacify the Chinese so we don't have a conflict over the Taiwan Strait? Maybe before under Trump we might have run into some conflict because we were trying to hold the line about Chinese expansion. So we got to watch what's going on internationally. and keeping an eye on cosmic events too. There's been a big surge of solar activity in the last few days. Nothing major, but a lot of research is saying the right solar event erupts, a solar flare erupts, and communications on Earth are shut down. So there's been a lot of talk about that possibly happening. There's a good website you can go to that follows that type of activity. We do that as well. So we learned that outlier events, Jim, seem to be the call the call of the wild here for the markets. I mean, nobody expected last year and the virus, and nobody would expect a solar flare. There are a lot calling for increased volcanic activity on the Earth, which could impair, growing of crops, and agricultural prices could soar. So there could be geocosmic effects that we're keeping an eye on, whether, we're going to be smart enough to identify those or not. So just, a whole bunch of stuff out there. I think it's going to be a wild year, a lot of stuff going on politically, geocosmically, economically. And as we saw the last couple of days, a lot of, small traders can cause potentially a lot of damage to the big boys on Wall Street, which in a way I sort of applaud, because you like to see Goliath come down once in a while. But for the most part, I'm just taking it a day at a time.
Mark, can you remind people about the special offer?
It is 2020 or 2021 half off, 2020 or 2021, but let's use 2020 HALFOFF, and you go to vrtrader.com and any of the newsletters. Oh, I should say we reinstated our blockchain letter. I didn't mention that. We had suspended that for a few months, doing some research and stuff, so it's now available. It's $200 a month for the blockchain letter, and it comes out weekly. We talk about all the cryptos and so forth for those who are interested in that sector. So, and all those would be 50% off if you use the 2020 half-off promo code.
Mark, thank you so much for chatting with us.
My pleasure, as always. Thanks for having me.
My guest has been Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as vrtrader.com. He was speaking to us from Arizona. If you have any questions for Mark, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.